How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Emerald City Hockey's post-game live. Fortunate shootout loss there to the Florida Panthers. But hey, the Kraken, they were able to keep that same game that they found on this most recent road trip. They're able to bring it home with them, play a good team, tough, stay in the game, dictate the pace of play at times, take it to overtime, get the loser point out of it. That is something they are walking away with. Happy about that, but it's still, they played really well in this one, and I know at least I was hoping for a little bit more. And then obviously how the one Panthers goal comes about leaves a sour taste in the mouth and all of that kind of stuff. So we'll talk about it all here on post game live, and we'll get the reactions from the team because I am curious to hear like Dan's reaction to this one, some of the players' reactions. I know they're going to be bummed after this one, but I'm really curious to hear if they thought that they were able to kind of keep that same game that they found on the road trip as they brought it home, and we get back to just being a solid team here. All right, got to start with some super chats here real quick. Got light with the first one. We got a point, so it's acceptable loss. Stevenson deserves a lot of praise. He was amazing on both ends of the ice all night. That's true. So we get the point. That's huge. I feel like that helps us team out a lot. Maybe Afra's not happy with just the 1 point, but we get the 1 point. It's more stuff in the standings. That's good for this group. Especially just because the way they've been kind of treading water. It's time to start accumulating those points. You're going to play the defending Stanley Cup champions. You want to get at least a point out of that game. Show that you can move your way up the standings as you then start playing other teams. Seattle always plays Florida close, particularly at home. So it was good to see there. Stevenson, so the goal was obviously fantastic. The way he kind of goes with the changeup there and gets the breakaway goal. Not something we're used to seeing from him, but it was obviously very welcome in this one. That was fantastic. His defense, it was better tonight. I still don't know that I'd go so far as to say he's an amazing defender the way Light did, but he was a lot more solid in the defensive zone in this one. You could tell he got up for this game, and the Kraken needed that tonight, and he was able to get something going there. Appreciate the super chat. Light. Next super chat here from Kraken fan. Is it just me, or did the Kraken seem scared to be on the rush for a lot of the first period? Seemed like they'd set up, then slow down instead of committing to it. I knew what you're talking about, Kraken fan. So I don't know that it would be that they were scared. I think that what they were probably trying to do was set up the cycle that they've been employing on the road trip that they use pretty effectively when playing good teams. I think the Carolina game is the best example of it. And so I think what they were probably thinking was this Florida team can be dangerous in transition the other way. Let's try to gain the zone. Let's slow it down. Let's get a cycle going, try to bog them down in their own defensive zones so that they can't then counterattack us with speed. They're going to have played for, 10, 20, 30 seconds in their own zone. They're just going to want to go for a line change rather than come at us and attack us. So I think that was kind of their opening period strategy. And look, it worked for the most part, right? This game was pretty even through the first period. I know the shots weren't totally, but a lot of that was because of that early Florida power play. But I think that was kind of their game plan was, we want to be able to attack with speed, but they're a good defensive team. They can get back fast, and they can especially attack back with speed. Let's try to neutralize them coming at us with that one. And I think, it had the desired effect as, really the one goal that Florida scored tonight, and I already see the next super chat's going to be talking about it, was one where they came up the ice quick, took advantage of the Kraken maybe not being set defensively, and they're able to get their only goal of the night on that one. So I think it was very deliberate what the Kraken were doing in this one. They were trying to establish forecheck, establish the cycle, don't feed Florida's transition. So I'm fine with it, and I don't think it was scared. I think it was very intentional on their part. Schultz with the next super chat here. Gord no call into a Panther goal hurt. Absolutely brutal. Perhaps the most brutal non-injury moment of the season for the Seattle Kraken, where you get the obvious, stick on the hands, right? You get that stick on the hands of Yanni Gourde, takes away his scoring chance. We know, Edzo was talking about it. Could have been a penalty shot call there, if not at the very least the 2-minute power play. It happens. It sucks. It shouldn't happen. The refs obviously missed the call. We all know that pretty definitively. Um, what looks like it then happens is the Kraken get a little bit lost, right? Like they're looking for the call, or they take that moment where they hold up thinking a call is coming. Florida was able to take advantage of that, and really that was the one time all night that the Kraken did not play kind of a cohesive plan to defend against the Florida Panthers, and it ends up costing them because they were just kind of chasing the puck around the defensive zone. Nobody was really set in their spots. Barkov gets left alone, able to get that one-timer chance over to him, and Florida is able to get on the board. It's like the worst momentum swing possible, to have, a chance to go on the power play, a chance to maybe get a penalty shot, a chance to score taken away from you, and then what, like 15 seconds later back down the other way and they score. It's absolutely the worst one. It hurt for sure, Schultz. I think you're right on the money there. It's just one of those that, they happen. You hope that they don't. They occasionally do happen, and you just kind of have to live with the results, even if you shouldn't have to. You just have to. Next one here from Kitty B Kraken. Huge super chat. Thank you very much, Kitty B Kraken. I missed Sunday's post game. So sorry. Time to pay up on the Rangers win and the 7-point Kraken game. Wish I could have bought them a win tonight. Did the puck go slightly backwards during that last shootout goal? I would have to look at it again. It's possible whenever you see those players kind of pull up and do those lateral moves across the crease, it always gets into this gray area for me, because I know that, you're not allowed to have the puck go backwards. That nullifies the chance in a shootout or on a penalty shot. But when you see the players kind of go laterally across the ice there, across the crease, it's hard to say like what stops forward momentum, because that's really what it is the puck always has to have like forward momentum. What constitutes that? Does it go backwards a little? Does he hold up a little? It's very possible, looking at like a slow-mo replay, that it shows that. I haven't seen that. The moment the goal was scored, I had to go in here and get all this ready, so I haven't seen like a replay of it. It is possible that it goes backwards a little bit, but the bottom line is that does happen, and they kind of let it go, right? I mean, all those years that they were kind of allowing the spinoramas, it was always like, puck's kind of moving backwards when you spin around with it, right? It's hard to keep constant forward momentum when you're doing that. And the league has just kind of decided, as long as it's nothing egregious, if it's a very like hairline, call, they're not going to call it, and they're going to let it go. That's just the rules, and they've been consistent with that. So I think on a play like that, it is very possible, if you look at a replay, if you look at it in slow motion, the puck maybe doesn't keep moving forward. Maybe it goes backwards a little bit, but it's within the margin that the NHL has established, and it's one that the Kraken could also take advantage of, if they're able to. So it's it's unfortunate, but you could be very correct that it happened, Kitty B Kraken, but that's just the way they call it, unfortunately. But thank you again for the huge super chat. Don't worry about missing on Sunday. Appreciate you coming through tonight. That is absolutely huge. And then Jessica here with the super chat, second at Shay Lars for the shootout. So that's gonna be over in chat. Let me jump over and find Shane here. Put Adam Larson in the shootout. I know. RJ's been saying it for a long time. RJ knows. He's been at the most of these. He's been seeing when all these guys do it. I've been around now through a training camp. I've seen the defensemen take their shots. If you were at the Kraken skills competition, you saw Adam Larson and what he could do in a breakaway setting, in a shootout attempt setting. He should. Yeah, I'm with you. He should be on it. I don't know why he's not on it. I get going with Tolvanen and Bjorkstrand. Like, they are pretty solid guys for something like this, but I would I would consider it. Just unfortunate. Joey's not the greatest shootout goalie. Never has been. Like, that's kind of always been sometimes his one thing. So, but I'm with you. I'm on board with the Adam Larson. Gotta give it a try, right? Like, what's the harm? What's the worst thing that can happen, right? You tend to lose all the shootouts anyway. Go for it. Light with the super chat here. Frustration aside, we played a playoff-esque game with a cup contender, and we got a point. Last year's team wouldn't have, nor the one who lost to Anaheim. I agree with that, Light, right? Last year, you don't get a game like this. You don't play this tough against a good team. You don't hang in there. You don't control the pace of play for large portions of it. this is one it's one where you're just lucky if you're down by 2 come the third period kind of thing, right? That would have been last year's squad. And certainly a couple weeks ago with the team and the kind of mental place that they were at, where you lose to Anaheim, you lose to the Sharks back to back like that. That team was obviously very much struggling with their identity, struggling with their line combination, struggling in just about every way that you could struggle as an NHL team. They would not have been able to do this either. I think it's huge that they were able to go on the road trip, do what they did, rebound from those 3 losses in a huge way, go on the road trip. And then even bigger than doing that on the road trip is you can bring that back with you to Seattle. That was something I had questions about. I'm happy that those questions were answered. They were able to play a really tough game against Florida tonight. I think that's a huge win for this group. And it shows that that confidence is kind of here to stay. That belief in the system is here to stay. That system is here to stay. We saw those lines again. They, for the most part, still played well together. I think that that's huge just for building kind of consistency with a group that for years now has been known as inconsistent. And so to be able to get that consistency, I think is as big a thing as you could hope for in this one. Let's see. Coming over into chat here. How's it going, Pablo? We did get the point. I am happy about that one. Virginia, don't mind the loser point here. Edzo totally called it. Never thought we were winning in overtime. Yeah, he did call that one. That is for sure. I don't think a lot of people would have expected this from the Kraken group, especially first game back after the road trip. So I will absolutely take it. B with the holy massive missed call, Batman. Yes, I'm still mad. I know. It's just brutal. It's just brutal. It's just one of those you just gotta live with it. Unfortunately, I mean, there's just no way to go back on it. Chris Bobrovsky, man, what are you gonna do? He was good. How does he make the save? Like going back, I think this was in the first period. You knew Bobrovsky was on it for the night when Bobrovsky's feet get kind of like taken out from under him. He's falling down and he still catches the puck and makes a save. That's when you knew Sergei Bobrovsky was, he showed up to play tonight. That's one you don't see very often. It is tough. I'm with you, Chris. What are you going to do? Maddie, have we tried letting Joey shoot during the shootouts? I don't know that we have tried that. I don't know if that's happened in like a practice or something that I just haven't been around for. But at some point you want to win these shootouts, go ahead and maybe give it a try. I don't know. Jake, we remain 500. We have reached equilibrium. I hope we're able to break it in a positive way at some point, Jake. I think we'll have to if we want to go, to the playoffs. But yes, this is a team that really, really kind of wants to sit there right in the middle. They really, really want that. George, we'll take that all day, every day. This is a different team than 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that's still the number one takeaway. Is just that they continue to play the way they played on the road trip. They continue to look like a different, better team that can play with consistency, play with pace, control the game, have different strategies like we were talking about earlier with the way that they would kind of hold up once they gained the offensive zone and try to set up the cycle. Don't feed the Panthers. We're finally to a point where after I guess we're now at the 30-game mark, but when we were talking initially about Coach Dan's 20 games to kind of build the habits, get everybody used to the system and everything that they're playing, it does feel like starting with that road trip and some of those games, especially in that Ranger game last time, we're starting to see the team comfortable enough with their plan A, plan B, and now they can start game planning for specific opponents. And it looked like they did that in the Rangers game. It really looked like they did that tonight in this Florida game, where they were like, look, this is how Florida wants to play. We know what Paul Maurice's Florida Panthers look like. Everybody's gotten plenty of views with them going to the Stanley Cup finals in back-to-back years. Everybody knows how they want to play. Let's take away what makes them good. Let's take away what makes them dangerous. And then we'll go out there and if we execute on that, we're going to at least be able to hang in the game. You force overtime, you pick up the loser point. That's huge. That's a step forward that, I didn't think the Kraken were going to be ready for 2 weeks ago. And yet here we are where they can have a plan A, a plan B, and they can start taking the way their opponent plays into consideration and start game planning specifically against them. That's absolutely huge. And it shows that, this group just kind of needed a little bit of patience with the new coaching staff and all the new systems, the new additions, finding the lines that work for everybody, going through the scratches to kind of get certain guys going up and down the lineup. The Kraken are in a good spot now. They just feel like they are a good team for the first time really this year, where you feel like you can trust them. And that's odd to say out loud. It feels odd to think it and feel it, but I think that's where they're at, is that we can just kind of trust what the Kraken are going to come out with every night now, and that's big deal, I think. And I hope that that's, you know, good for a lot of the newer fans watching and everything like that. Is the more they can kind of string games like this together, the more people are going to hopefully then want to hang around. The number of almost goals in overtime will haunt me. A lot of chances in overtime for sure. It's just the way it goes. It is exciting though, that 3-on-3 overtime. I will take it almost every day of the week. Terrible Lotus, all the suspense. That game was a really good game. I'm just happy we got a really good game. I needed to see a good game lying there in bed. I needed that one, and I'm happy that we got it. Ethan, Joey masterclass prior to that shootout. My goodness, he's back. He looked totally healthy. He looked like he's been rested. He looks like he's ready to go, and he is back to in form. So, you know, again, let's try to, I hope that the team manages his starts. Don't burn him out, kind of the way it looked like he was starting to get burned out. Gru has been shaky, but hopefully these last two starts from Gru have stabilized him a little bit, and you can start trusting him a little bit more. And then you're not having to overwork Joey, because when Joey is not overworked, he puts on performances like tonight, which is a big deal because he keeps you in these games against good teams, and he gives you a chance to win, or at the very least pick up a point in the standings. That's just the difference that Joey playing at an elite level, having an elite goaltender in the crease for you, it gives you. And it's a big reason why the Kraken are then able to go out and do all of that other stuff that I've been talking about, where you can start game planning for the other team. You can start worrying about your plan A, plan B, because you don't have to be worrying about having a leaky goaltender in net, or having somebody that doesn't have your back, and you have to really spend a lot of that time focusing on, okay, if we get bogged down in the defensive zone, how are we going to handle this? Because your goalie is just handling it. Your Joey is just handling it. You're fine. Via Ren, I've promised to take the night off from hating on Chandler Stevenson. Please hold me to that. Will do. Via Ren, will do. Terrible Lotus. Yes, these are crocheted stockings here. My mom every year crochets some. In the past, we try to give them away come this time of year to Patreon members. Unfortunately, this year she was only able to make a handful, and we in the past have given them to the new like Kraken PR team members, and this year we have a couple new Kraken PR team members, so we're going to give them there this go around. But yes, I love the crocheted stockings, and if you've been around a while, it's a big deal that I finally got some, because we always have to give away mine. Coop, kind of disappointed in Bjorky. What are you talking about here, Coop? Not even a shot on goal on the breakaway. Not a very dangerous shootout move. He seemed timid, which bums me out. He's a killer, needs to stay confident. I think with that breakaway one, right, like his concentration gets broken by the defender. It just, you know, kind of does a double clutch there with the stick. I take the dangerous chance. He was still out there doing everything that he did from the previous game, where he was working hard, he was battling, he was winning puck battles along the boards, particularly below the goal line and behind the Florida net. I take games like this from Oliver Bjorkstrand every day of the week. Not a very dangerous shootout move. This team isn't a very dangerous shootout team, so it just kind of fits in. General Pancake still can't believe the refs didn't call that slashing. I know that one's gonna haunt for a while. It's gonna haunt for a while. Maddie Tolvin and Bjorkstrand in the shootout was interesting. I feel like Monty, Lars, and Shane would have been cool. I wouldn't have hated Shane getting a chance in this one for sure. I'm definitely with you there. I think Monty would be interesting. I don't remember Monty looking particularly great in the few like practice shootouts that we've seen. Lars is a different story. He just finds a way to pull out something really ridiculous that nobody's going to expect, and it really throws goaltenders. Shane, though, I think would have been interesting, because I would have loved for him to get another opportunity to kind of come in and just try to snipe one. He had a couple of those opportunities tonight, and we wasn't able to convert on them. But I would hope that if he could get like one more chance on that, where he really doesn't have to worry about defenders, he doesn't have to worry about anything else. It's just him versus the goalie. I would love for Shane to be able to to have that chance, hopefully sees that chance, go out there and then show us what he can do. Just given the way that he's been playing and the way that we want him to play and the skill set that he has, I think that could be a really good confidence boost for him if he is out there. So I like that idea, Maddie. Daniel, thank God Florida is in the East. Such a frustrating team to play. Get away with so much. They play a playoff style. They do potentially get away with stuff. I do think the Kraken kind of got a makeup call there in the third period, but it won't make up for that one, unfortunately. Coop Monty just does absolutely everything, setting up breakaway after breakaway. He deserves that game-winning apple. I'm with you, Coop. Brandon Montour has just been incredible. He's the perfect player to play in this system, right? Like Vince Dunn and Brandon Montour kind of do the two different things that Dan wants this team to do. You have Brandon Montour kind of taking the plan A approach, which is we want to play a 200-foot game. We want to establish these breakouts, get the puck up the ice with speed, let our guys go skate, let them go into the offensive zone with speed, try to take advantage of chaos on the defense and score. And then you have Vince Dunn, who has really excelled and come back in to the lineup. And yes, he can make those breakout passes, and he really likes to join the rush more so than even making those breakout passes. He'll let Lars make the breakout pass, and then Vince Dunn will hop up to join the rush. But what he does really well is he holds the blue line really well. He has great vision in the offensive zone. He helps the cycle work, right? We've been talking about on this road trip, the Kraken have been able to cycle. Here's their plan B approach on offense. This is a different look for them, and it's one that's really helped lead to success. They're able to hold the offensive zone. They're able to control and dictate the pace of play. I don't think it's a coincidence that all of that really started when Vince Dunn came back into the lineup, because he's just that good in the offensive zone. He can join the forwards in the cycling. If you want to cycle up high, he knows how to find guys in the right moments as they're curling around to then hit them and then put them in a spot where they can go and make a play. I think that's a big one with him. So you kind of have the two different ways you want to play. You have a defenseman really for each of them that are both playing at just such a high level, and that's really big for the group. Stratic, the out-of-town scoreboard was not kind to the Kraken tonight, unfortunately. Oilers, Kings, and Flames, 2 points, Canucks 1 point. Yeah, I mean, we are kind of in that spot where we do have to start scoreboard watching a little bit. It'll get better, though. Like the Flames, I really don't think this is sustainable for them. We'll see about the Oilers and kind of where they end up. I have to assume they'll end up in a pretty positive place. I know RJ still has, doubts about the Kings and the Canucks, so we'll see kind of where they end up. Bryce, take the point and run. You could totally do that. Alan, we were screwed right from the garbage missed call on Yanni, along with Berkey making the Kraken a bakery with all the damn turnovers from Alan. I mean, look, the missed call was absolutely brutal. There's no way around that. That absolutely happened. Berkey, again, got to find a place for him. Like, I just don't know where he's supposed to play in this lineup right now. And again, I was the guy defending him for a really long time, but I just feel like the team played more consistent with Ryan Winterton in, and we'll see. The lines got shaken up a little bit at times tonight from what we saw on the road trip. Yanni, got to hope Yanni's okay. He was obviously missed time in the third period there. Again, we'll see what that means, because I just feel like he's really helping make a lot of these lines work. I mean, he played a big role in the one goal that you're able to get in this one with that beautiful feed over to Chandler Stevenson. So we'll see it with Yanni, but I really hope that that they're there. Let's see, Maddie Dillon. I know they didn't win, but I feel like you still deserve Gatorade for your back pain. Hope you're feeling better. It's tough. I've gutted it out for this one. Hopefully, I'll be able to do deep dive tomorrow as well. And yes, I'll probably sneak a Gatorade after this one for the hydration. Coop, I know Berkey loves that quick pull-up move as soon as he enters the zone, but he tries it like every time, and people have caught on. His best play of the year was him driving hard. I'd like to see more of that. Yeah, so it's tough because there's been a lot of times with the controlled zone entries where earlier this year I wanted them to button hook a little bit more, wait for more support to enter the zone and maybe hit one of them in stride and kind of play that way. But Berkey does it. You have nobody else on the Kraken really doing it, and then you have Berkey doing it every single time he's out there, and that's not a good equation. One of those two things needs to change, right? You either need everybody to start working it into their game so that they can, you know, teams have to respect it, but then it opens things up. So at times maybe the defense is playing you at a certain angle because they're expecting you to turn it up, and then you're able to get the edge on him and drive the lane. That probably needs to still happen from a team-wise approach. I still think more guys on the team need to take that approach where they'll button hook and then they'll go ahead and try to make a play that way and catch other guys entering the zone with speed. But with Berkey, I'm with you, Coop, where he has become too predictable, and you're not going to have a lot of success in the NHL if you're a predictable player. If guys know how to defend you and they don't really have to think about it, right? They can be kind of almost a step ahead of you because they know what to expect, and they know there's like a 99.9% certainty that you're going to try button hooking once you enter the zone. Yeah, they're going to be able to cheat up on you. They're going to be able to get offense going the other way. Their defensive partner, or any, both of their defensemen, if it's a forward who's playing on you, they're all going to be able to just start kind of pushing up ice already, get that momentum going, get that momentum started so that they can take advantage of whatever turnover the player covering Berkey is going to produce. So I'm with you on that one. Like I said earlier, I've been a big Berkey defender this season, but I think given the way the team played with Ryan Winterton, with Yanni Gourde, if he's able to be in, I just think that was just a better team. It was just a team that could go out there and execute in just better ways. And I think that's something that's going to need to happen. Maybe potentially, we'll see. Christian, so many chances. Definitely not happy about that missed call, but we got a point against the Panthers. Yeah, I think everybody seems okay taking the point. It's a bummer about the call. Happens. It's sports. Refs miss calls. That's just the way sports works. Unfortunately, there's always that human error. But getting the point was, I think, big for everybody. Not kind of losing the game on it straight up. I think that would have made it feel a lot worse than it was. Let's see. Daniel, last shot. It's Florida. They do whatever they want and never get called for it. Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to let the one like obvious blown call like really, swing like everything we think about it, but it was so impactful. It's pretty tough. Virginia, I want Edzo to meet with Berkey and talk to him about it, but Berkey makes a change. That would be interesting. I don't know that Edzo does that too often. I wonder if he does though. That would be interesting to kind of see that, or if Berkey is going to get scratched again at some point, if somebody talks to him about it, coaching staff works with him on it. Again, this coaching staff has had a lot of success working with a bunch of different guys on different areas of their games. I feel like that's one where if they worked with Berkey one-on-one, they could probably find a way of getting him to not repeat it every single time he's out there. On the flip side, though, one of the things that I did use to defend him all along this season was how good he is at creating controlled zone entries. And I will say, even though he does the button hook thing and it's become predictable, all of those come off of him with a good controlled zone entry, right? He's not a guy that has to dump and chase. He finds a way of getting into the zone with control of the puck. So there is a silver lining to it, is that he is creating those zone entries. It's just unfortunate that it kind of goes that other way. RJ, we were just talking about Andre Burakovsky and the fact that no matter how often he gets a controlled zone entry, he'll walk into the zone. He is going to button hook, and other teams just know to be ready for it, and they're just going to step up and kind of take advantage of that. And that he might need to work on that a little bit.
I'd say so. It's something that probably comes out on film pretty quickly when you watch him play. And yeah, it is kind of the one move that he has to go to. There's not a lot of variety there. And it's the kind of thing, though, he has that speed and agility that if he did want to kind of change it up and do a little fake button hook, go back down low, I think it could be effective. But we haven't really seen that a ton yet.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on this one overall, RJ, just to kind of get that? And then also, what were the thoughts of the guys, and particularly Dan, on this one?
I mean, I'll echo something that Dan said right away in his presser. He liked the effort and thought it was just a good defensive game against a really blue-collar team that likes to go in there and outwork you in the offensive zone. And I thought the Kraken defended really well in this one. look, you're playing against a superior team. The Panthers, the defending cup champs. They are a better team than you. And I liked the blueprint, it seemed like, in this game where you just make sure to keep them out of those dangerous areas of the ice in the middle. Like Adam Larson was an absolute beast clearing out the net front. A lot of guys were doing their jobs. They were blocking a lot of shots. And then you try and counterattack and you take your opportunities to go the other way and try and generate goals that way. You saw it on the Chandler Stevenson goal. The one missing piece, I think, was converting on a power play, because that's what I think would have made the big difference in this game. And when you try and win a game like this, you have to take advantage of your chances on the power play, because that's what's going to get you that extra goal. But overall, I really liked the effort. I think Dan Bilesma was pleased with the effort from his team. I said in the second period, there were certain times where they didn't manage the puck well enough. It kind of fed the forecheck for the Panthers. I agree. They could have done a little better exiting the zone. But overall, a pretty solid effort against a very good team.
Yeah, and then obviously the big story of the night is the missed call on slash on Yanni Gourde there, and then Florida's able to take advantage of that, catch the Kraken maybe a little off guard because they were looking for the penalty and get their one goal in regulation in this one. Kind of your thoughts, and if anybody, either in the room or Coach Dan mentioned it.
Right. So my thoughts, first of all, it's pretty clear that was, call it a hook, call it a slash, call it whatever you want. If you're coming back and defending a player, your stick cannot get on their glove. And what that stick does from Schmidt is it takes the stick out of Yanni Gourde's hand because it hits his glove. That one is pretty night and day to me. I don't usually get very opinionated on the calls that can be a little subjective, but this one was absolutely clear to me. Dan Bilesma did talk about it a little bit, and he chose his words very carefully, as you might want to do if a call isn't good, right? Yeah. You don't want to get fined. And so he said that Yanni's stick moved out of his hand for a reason. The ref didn't see it that way. So he didn't say what that reason was, but I think we can all infer what it was. So, and talking about that play and kind of how it resulted in the goal for the Panthers too, he said it's unfortunate because the Kraken didn't really overcommit to the rush there. He said he felt like they handled that rush pretty well. They had numbers back. There was just one trailer that kind of got open for the one-timer, and he said he felt like Joey maybe didn't see the pass across because of all the traffic that was in front of him, and that's kind of where it broke down. But he said it was going to take a goal like that to beat Joey tonight because he was outstanding, which I think he was. He had a fantastic game.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we've definitely talked about how Joey looks like, he's back 100%. He's returned to form, all that good stuff there. Zoe with the super chat, well worth the $40 ticket. PK came up big tonight. The PK has definitely been better, RJ, these last couple games. They faced some good power play units. They've been able to keep them off the board, or at least relatively off the board. I do feel like in that one power play chance Florida had in the first period, they got a lot of shots on it. Like it could have been a little bit better maybe there. Joey had to step up and make some big saves for you. But the PK unit is starting to get there. Just like the power play has kind of taken some steps forward, the other half of special teams has also been doing so.
That might have been the element of the game that personally impressed me the most, was the PK, because of how far it's come from where it was and what they were able to do against this Panthers team. First of all, the active sticks in the D zone, right? None of the passing lanes in the middle were open. They were doing a good job boxing out net front. And yes, the Panthers were able to get shots at times, but they had to just spray and pray from the perimeter. They really couldn't set up any of the kind of set plays that you want to set up on a power play. It was completely luck-based, and the luck wasn't in their favor tonight. And if you can make a power play that's that good, rely on just shots from perimeter that they're hoping hit something and go in their favor, I feel like that's a big win in itself.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'm with you on that. Talking here about McCann, Maddie, I feel like whenever McCann has an opportunity, he really makes the most of it. Just seems like he hasn't had as many opportunities lately. This did feel like it's starting to get to him, and he was really trying to go out there and manufacture some chances for himself. Just felt like Florida knew that they should really commit to him whenever he was on the ice and then let other guys on that line try to beat them.
Well, when his line mates are who they are, I don't blame Florida for trying to attack it that way. And we talked about it a little bit after the last game. I think it's kind of clear maybe why he hasn't had as many opportunities, but he had some early on in this game. And I think it was as a result of maybe trying to do a lot himself, but I kind of don't blame him at this point.
No, I don't either. There was a lot of calls also, RJ, about the shootout. Where was Adam Larson?
I even tweeted just Adam Larson trying to go with the meme to maybe speak it into
It's all
existence with
working to
him being a
this.
shooter. I know, and he had a fantastic game too. Again, I just loved his game in this one. I was raving about him all night. It's a shame you weren't here in person to see it. I guess I had to make up for your,
Yeah.
raving about Adam Larson. They thought you were here anyway because they heard how great I thought he was. But unfortunately, no Adam Larson, no defenseman at all in the shootout. Again, I'm not holding out too much hope for it. I would love to see it one day, but unfortunately didn't work out.
Yeah. Do you have larger shots, larger ideas about this team when it does come to the shootout? Like, just, it does feel like it's still not the strongest shootout group, and Joey's maybe a little questionable at times. Like, I don't know why Joey's so great in like breakaway situations during a game, but then the shootout he kind of locks up.
He has time to think about it. I wonder if that has something to do with it. Also, look, Joey is a goalie that he's aggressive, right? And he will, if you can beat him with a move, he bites hard. We saw that with the Barkov move, with the fake between the legs. Again, fantastic move. But Joey's going to bite a little harder on that than maybe some other goalies will. And also, I did actually stay for Paul Maurice's presser because I wanted the chance to see one of those and look at the look on Maurice's face as he was talking about that. He said it's just really cool to see a move that you've never seen before, and just sends his guys out and had no doubt about sending Barkov out there. He said actually the only concern was that he played him so much during the overtime. He's like, hey, like, you okay? Are you too tired to go take a shootout shot? But Barkov was totally fine.
I was going to say, it seems like one guy you probably wouldn't have to worry about in a situation like that. Super chat here from Amanda. Feeling pretty positive. It would seem we have a coachable team after all. Kind of talked about it earlier, RJ, how this team has incorporated not only the plan A of attacking off the rush, but they've done a good job through that road trip and then brought it over into tonight, their first game back at home, having that plan B approach, slow things down in the offensive zone, get that cycle going. And then really we're seeing them start to add in things that directly address the team that they're playing against, right? Come up with strategies. In this one, the big one being don't feed Florida's transition. Right. And it wasn't perfect all of the time, but especially in the first period, they did a good job of slowing down when they entered the offensive zone, try to, keep them buried in their defensive end. And then if there's a turnover, they're going to have to go for a line change rather than get up the ice and try to take advantage of that situation against you.
Exactly. And I think the Kraken adjusted well to it as well. There was a time when this kind of turned into a track meet early on, and I think the Kraken were able to kind of settle that down. Really, I think both coaches wanted that. After hearing Maurice talk about it too, he said, like, there were a lot of times that maybe we could have been tempted to force things or move it a little bit more, but we didn't. Maurice seemed to be really happy with the fact that this was just a 1-to-1 slog fest through all of regulation, right? But I think the Kraken, didn't play into the Panthers' hands necessarily. But it seemed like both teams were just kind of happy playing this type of game, and it was the type of game where you feel like both teams are going to play in a way that they can both get their point, be happy with it, and then whatever happens in overtime, the shootout happens.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Ethan, no doubt, only giving up one across only giving up one against the Panthers across 65 minutes, including a couple PKs, is huge. I mean, this was just a great all-around effort from the team, RJ. And I think it's huge that they were able to bring this back from the road trip and have this at home. That's Kevin. Our PK has been killer. We stopped two of the best power plays right now in New Jersey and Florida. Definitely talked about that. Schultz, the scratch rebound effect has already worn off Berkey. Wins in for Gord. Does Sprong get a scratch rebound effect opportunity next game?
It's possible if Gord is out, and maybe you want to switch up something with Burakovsky. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised to see if Gord misses. You just have Winterton in there. They probably keep Berkey instead of Sprong. That would be my guess. I don't know. I feel like it could be a while before we see Daniel Sprong next. It would at least take another injury.
I was going to say the way this team is playing right now and trying to play the way that they want to, I don't know that Daniel Sprong will help you do that. Right. Like
he just doesn't fit the identity right now. It's simple as that.
Yeah, no, he just doesn't. Coop, totally agree, Dylan. Also, Monty literally drove the middle 1v2 and got an awesome chance. He does everything besides faceoffs. He's phenomenal. Talking about kind of the difference in the way that Monty and Vince Dunn play, RJ, and how it allows the Kraken to kind of have those two different looks in the offensive zone. One coming in with speed off of the breakout passes from Montour, and the other being able to succeed with a cycle and kind of slow things down in the offensive zone because you've got Vince Dunn back there to hold the blue line and his excellent vision from the point.
Right. Brandon Montour, I mean, he could just activate. He can be everywhere on the ice at once, it feels like. And he's always good at, he's such a fast skater. He can just go up into spots that he needs to be and then be back somewhere else so fast. It was really entertaining to watch him on the ice tonight. Also off the ice, just being in the building for a game where Montour faced his former team for the first time. Dylan, I've spent a lot of games here and I've seen a lot of stuff, just, whether it's behind the scenes or just seeing the players warming up before the game, all that stuff. I don't think I've ever seen a player facing a former team who is as popular with his former teammates as Brandon Montour. Well before the game, he was hanging out on the bench, taping his stick and stretching, and his former teammates, Panthers players, just kept coming up to him, several of them, and it seemed like they just gave the word back to the locker room, like, hey, Monty's out on the bench, and they just kept coming. Players, staff, everybody to go chat with him before the game, and then in warm-ups, he was chatting with a few teammates too, and it's just like, and even after the game, seeing him too with all his former teammates, like they love him. They absolutely love Brandon Montour in Florida.
Yeah, and when at the beginning of the Root broadcast, they showed apparently yesterday Florida came into town and Montour and Mahura were able to go and see the guys last night and get their Stanley Cup rings. And you could just tell the way that they were embraced by that group, especially Montour, like how much he meant to them and how much they miss him right now. You could tell that he left a big mark on that organization.
Yeah, and Paul Maurice even gave him a little friendly chirp after the pressers as he was walking away.
Oh, good. What was it?
Don't know if I should share it, but
okay.
It was pretty funny.
That's fair. I do know how Paul Maurice can be. That makes sense. David, Shane Wright's stock would have been going to the moon if he scored on that chance in overtime. There was some people also talking, surprised maybe we didn't see Shane Wright in the shootout.
Right. I would think he's maybe an option. I think given the shooters that were picked, I think maybe he was trying to go with some more, I don't know, like proven veteran options, right? The safe picks, I think, and Wright would have been a little bit out there. But the shootout isn't what I'm focused on. He did get some time in overtime also, but the fact that for the last minute of the game, there's a minute left, you are tied against the defending cup champs, and you've just spent the last shift like all in your D zone, right? You need to relieve the pressure. The line that Dan Bylsma sends out includes Shane Wright. I believe it was Tanev, Wright, McCann. Which is not something we're used to seeing. But the fact that Shane Wright's out there centering that line for that shift with a minute to go as you're hanging on to this tie game, I think that says a lot.
Right. And we did it. We broke the 15-minute mark barrier. 15:26 for Shane Wright tonight. So I think that was huge. And also just looking at the shift chart, 22 shifts for Shane in this one. Definitely puts him in the top half of the team there. That is big. I'm happy that he's starting to get more and more of those looks and those chances. Byron asking, did Winterton get sent down? Saw some reporting, but nothing official.
I think he got sent down. I remember seeing the reporting too, and it was on the NHL media site. I don't remember if the team tweeted out anything official, but I believe he did. But it would be easy to just call him back up. It would be hard to do. And then Stratic saying, save the Maurice chirp for the Patreon live stream. I think I might do that.
Yeah, that would be good. Edward, hey, how about that goal by Chandler Stevenson, though? If you had told me a Kraken player would put one on Bobrovsky like that, I wouldn't have bet on Stevenson being the one, but I'll take it. It was a sick play from him. I mean, the whole setup was fantastic, from the breakout deep in their own zone up, the way the two players handle things in the neutral zone. Yanni just kind of throwing it to space, letting Stevenson go and get the puck, RJ. But Stevenson going with that little bit of like kind of a change up. It was pretty.
Yeah, it was nice. And Bobrovsky wasn't really able to kind of get, okay, can I say something without just taking anything away from Chandler Stevenson, the way he played that? He did kind of shoot it right at Bobrovsky's glove, but it did hit his glove and go in.
Yes. No, I do know that. That's
all that matters is he scores. Like, I don't want to take anything away from him there, but it just was kind of funny to me.
Yeah, Edzo on the broadcaster is kind of funny because he was like trying to, play it. The
thief is at it again.
No,
Kate Shefty just tried to steal my credential again. Then she dropped it. So you want to come on?
I do. I have a message for Dylan.
Oh,
all right.
Cheers.
Go lie down.
I know. I got 15 minutes.
She's just looking out for you.
I know. It was a real bummer not to be able to make the game tonight. I would have loved to have been there for it. And it was a good one too. Milo, sad they couldn't pull off a win for my pre-birthday game, but at least we got a point. I got to see Joey stand on his head. So as a goalie lover, I'm living pretty good. Happy early birthday there, Milo. Let's see. Joey always seems so antsy to me on shootouts. He bites on the first move so early. That's from Coop. kind of talking about that. That is, we already talked about it, but it is true. And then Maddie, I hope Gord isn't out for long. I'm assuming no update post game.
No update. Piper Shaw asked. Bilesma said no update. So
yeah.
Although actually it was asked later. Was it related to the play? Where Schmidt got him in the hand, thinking maybe it's a hand injury. Bilesma said no, it was after that, so it was not related to that play.
Okay, I'm still wondering if it's related to what he was dealing with previously. We just don't know.
Yeah, there was some speculation on that up in the press bridge for sure.
Yeah. And then David saying, yeah, I was wondering if Joey's aggressive style is better in the ordinary game than it is in the shootout. We're still 500 in shootouts, though. And I know it was, let's see, Viren with players with multiple shootout goals for the Kraken. Eberle with 3. Don't have him, unfortunately. Yams with 3. Don't have him around either. Bjorkstrand with 2. Donskoy with 2. And Donato with 2. So a lot of names on that list of guys that are not around. Bjorkstrand really the only option tonight, actually, out of that group.
Yeah, I guess so. Hopefully that's not a way to get yourself off of the Kraken, right? If you're too good in the shootout, they get rid of you.
Or you get injured.
Yeah.
Let's see. Did it seem weird to anyone that Florida used timeout leading into a D zone draw, not an offensive zone draw? Was it an actual rest thing from Daniel there?
I believe it was a rest thing, and Paul Maurice did talk about that a little bit after the game too, wanting to make sure Barkov could get pretty much that whole overtime in because he's such a valuable player there, and especially taking the D zone draw, that's big.
Yeah. Christian, Shane Wright spinning lacrosse goal in the shootout. Lol. Got to see it happen.
Well, he said after the skill showcase, he did say that he thought Dan would kill him if he ever tried that. So I don't think he's ready to go for it.
I'd just stay in public spaces. It's just, it'd be fine. Don't ever get into
witnesses all around everywhere all the time.
Yeah. Maddie, Dylan, as your bosses, I allow you to go lay down. I'll get there. Daniel, I think McCann and Tanev could work on a line together. I remember season 1, one of our best lines being geeky McCann Tanev. That does take me back.
That's a throwback, right?
That's a real throwback there from Daniel for sure. And then Maddie saying, also, we haven't even talked about Gord getting body slammed to the ice. Yeah, I mean, there was definitely some times that you could see him picking something up, we'll say.
Yeah, that's for sure. He was all around it in this one. I mean, I think it was Nico Mikkola for the Panthers and Yanni Gord for the Kraken that were just around all the physicality.
Yep. And then B, I know the Joey praise has been ongoing, but Joey with 2.01 goals saved above expected, according to Money Puck. Unsurprising, but happy to have it confirmed. Yeah, I can imagine the numbers looking a lot better for Joey in this one, RJ, than for Bobrovsky.
Yeah, probably. And Maurice actually did talk about Bobrovsky a little bit. He said how his game is right. He says numbers aren't good, but his game is good. There are a lot of calm saves that you don't necessarily notice for him, but I think Joey's kind of outshined him tonight.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then Milo, does Eberle have so many shootout goals because they seem to play him every shootout? I can remember so many shootout misses from Evs. Lol. That is probably what it is.
He must lead the Kraken in all-time shootout attempts. I'd be shocked if it was somebody else.
I'm wondering how to kind of quickly look that up if that would be easy.
I'm sure in like 3 seconds Viren will let us know.
Yeah. But I do think that it's one of those, it's kind of like a
Viren, Eberle 3 for 10.
Yeah. 10 seems like a decent amount of chances given this team, and we only see a handful of shootouts from this group every year, so that makes sense.
I think my 3-second joke time was actually too slow on that.
Yeah, and well, there's the tape delay, so
okay,
maybe.
Factor that in.
Yeah, and then shootout results coming into this one. Both Bjorkstrand and Eberle were 1 for 1 this year, so and Joey had stopped 2 of 3 attempts against him.
Yep. No, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Let's see. Hack loved Ebbs in the shootout because I think he has good career numbers there. I do.
He does. He's got great career numbers.
Yeah. And Byron saying they've only played 17 shootout games in their history. Yeah. They're not a Thankfully. Big OT group.
No.
This team. They're all or nothing. Coop, after ragging on Berkey, I'm just now remembering he literally drilled the end of the stick out of Bob's hand. That would have gone in my opinion, and been a dart. Yeah, like I said, Berkey plays well, RJ. Like as much as we kind of rag on him tonight on always button hooking and being a little too predictable. I was kind of mentioning as you were joining, silver lining of that is he is one of your most consistent controlled zone entry machine players, where he's only in that spot because he has carried the puck into the zone. It's just that we'd like to see him do a little bit more. That's the second time, by the way, talking about this.
Oh, man.
Afra's gone.
Interesting. All right. Well, let's not poke the bear more with Afra. I will say one thing though. In overtime, that's actually a good thing. The whole button hook, everything that Berkey does, works really well in overtime.
Yeah, it does. And that was a great chance. The one that Coop had mentioned there. Did anyone mention Shane had 15 minutes tonight? Yes, we did get 15 minutes from Shane. That is good stuff. Good night, Pablo. Milo, 17 shootout attempts feels too little for how much dread I'm filled with when we get to the shootout. And then I think we'll get a little visit here from the culprit. We'll get a fuzzy ear.
Come on.
There we go.
Hi, Afra.
What's going on, Afra? What's going on? I know. It's okay. Berkey's going to get one for you. Don't worry. Don't worry.
She's like, is he?
He will. He will. It's a long season, Afra. It's still got like 60 games. You could get one more. Thank you. Donato 2 for 7, Maddie 1 for 7 are tied for second in attempts, and McCann's 0 for 6 in third from Byron with the shootout stuff there. Interesting that McCann doesn't have one. I see Maddie surprised there too, and B.
Yeah, I mean, shootout is just a different animal. The best players in the real game are not always the best shootout players.
Yeah, it is a weird one. RJ, kind of looking at this one and kind of taking it in as a whole again. I'm trying to look at like the different numbers and stuff. I'm happy with it. I'll take it. Are we concerned that they like low shot total from them this game? Felt like they weren't getting as many dangerous chances, not as many shots in close in and around the crease as they were maybe on the road trip?
I'm not. Again, it's quality of opponent. I'm looking at the opponent. They're a team that's just going to try and outwork you, outmuscle you. You're not going to get prolonged zone time against a team like the Florida Panthers if you are a team like the Seattle Kraken. I think you have to kind of stick to a certain game plan that probably involves you getting outshot pretty heavily, and you've got to take advantage of those chances to go the other way. So I kind of saw the vision from early on in this game. They more or less stuck to it. I'm happy with it. And overall, like, as long as I just keep seeing the effort that's there where you can play really good teams really close, I'm happy regardless of the result.
Yeah, I'm with you. And we got, I would say, a 60-minute effort in this one. Of course, the game was 65 minutes, so we still had that kind of that one stretch. It felt like there in maybe this, what was it, the second period, where it felt like Florida was really able to go to work and try to do what they were trying to do. But I'm with you. The big thing is just the way that they played. Going to do a last call here. Been down here at the bottom of the standing, at the bottom of the standings, at the bottom of the chat for a minute. So go ahead, and if I skipped anything earlier, you want to repeat anything, go ahead and put it down here. Pablo asking how old Afra is. Afra is 5. She'll turn 6 in March. And then Vyren, NHL Stats has a shootout report for future reference. Thank you for that. Definitely use that. Was there any other takeaways you had from this one, RJ?
I mean, I think my other big takeaway from this one was just how the Kraken are able to beat good teams in different ways and look very different from one night to the next. This was about as different of a game as you could possibly have from that Rangers game that the Kraken just came off of. And the Rangers game did worry me a little bit, right? It wasn't the cleanest hockey game. They did score a whole bunch. They did outscore some of their mistakes, but it made me wonder if things were loosening up a little bit, right? If that type of play was maybe going away, especially after the Rangers lost to Chicago, the quality of opponent maybe doesn't look as good. But this absolutely confirmed that the Kraken are still playing well. They're still playing the way that they need to play in order to play good teams close. So I guess just winning in different ways was kind of a big, or not winning, but you know what I mean? Playing these teams. This just feels like a tie. I don't know. This feels like a tie to me. Every game that goes to shootout feels like a tie.
No, it very much feels like a tie, especially just given how like kind of close everything was as well. It just really kind of feels that way. I do think that it's big that this team can now start game planning for opponent. Like, that is a next level that I did not think this team was ready for. They didn't look anywhere close to being ready for it 2 weeks ago, RJ. And yet here we are. They can kind of approach all these different games with that different mindset, kind of playing, to the weaknesses of the opponent, not letting them play to their strengths. That's just a big step forward there. And then where was it? Is Barkov the best faceoff guy in the league? He won every single one in overtime. It felt like, I know Crosby's awesome at it too, but Barkov was automatic. Barkov was 63% on the dot tonight. RJ, I was trying to find league standings really quick here, but it's, NHL.com is moving very slow for me at the moment.
For faceoff stats, you're saying?
Yeah. For like league wide, I will say Barkov this year, 63.9% coming into this game. That's pretty darn good, even for him. Like, he's a career 53% guy. So, the whole 10 percentage points over his career average so far this season.
Viren says highest face-off percentage among forwards with at least 150 face-offs. Number one in the league.
There you go. So you're on to something there, Coop. Amanda asking, how are y'all feeling about Boston coming up? And Julia saying Boston lost 8-1 to the Jets tonight with Swayman and net. They feel beatable right now. Boston does feel like a beatable team for sure.
Yeah, I kind of smell blood in the water, similar to the Rangers game, right? When they just got rid of their captain. And this is a team that's kind of reeling. And I think it's another good opportunity to go out and play a better game than you did against this team last time. And that's what I'm really looking forward to. Is the Kraken, I think, had one of their worst games of the season, if not for that San Jose game, maybe their worst of the season against Boston in Boston. This is a chance to go out and right some of those wrongs, and I can't wait to see the difference. Yeah,
looking at like Boston's results here, so they were on a 4-game win streak going into the game tonight against Winnipeg that they lost. They are a team. This looks like the Capitals from last year, RJ. They win every game by like 1 goal. All of their wins are by like 1, and then their losses, they just get blown out. Like, they're just not even close in the games that they lose. So I guess the moral of the story is, when you're approaching a team like that, is try to get after them early, try to get something on the board fast, and just kind of let them spiral and kind of, fall out of it.
And I think especially with the Kraken's recent trend of scoring first in games, which they hadn't done a lot earlier this season, but they've done it a lot recently, that becomes all the more important against the Bruins. Get to their confidence early.
Definitely. Light, I talk him up a lot, but the vision of what Catton is going to bring to this team makes me happy. Having a guy with his level of shot and skating will change this team for the better. I certainly hope you're right, Light, and we'll talk more about him on the upcoming prospect chat. Speaking of Patreon chats, RJ, you have one coming up here soon.
That's right. The Armchair GM stream is tomorrow night, so that's going to be a really fun time with everybody. I have stuff that I even prepared last time that I didn't get to because the power went out. So I have a lot of stuff to go over. It's going to be a fun one. There's multiple directions that we can go in. It's going to be a little different than, if after the Kraken lost to San Jose and Anaheim and everything, I had the teardown thing. I still have it if we want to go over it, but I've got some other stuff too. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, and Maddie's saying, make sure your power stays on there.
I will do all I can do.
Yes. Edward, knock the B off them, make them the ruins. I like that. That's a good one. I'm definitely going to have to use that. The Kraken can get a win on this one. My girlfriend's family's from Boston. Her brother still lives in Boston. Be nice if they get a victory and I'm able to pull that one out. I'm going to steal that, Edward. And then Virginia, good night all. RJ and Dylan, take good care. I think we're basically at the end here. We could probably sign off. I know your voice is still recovering. I could go use a lay down after this one. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to thank the Kraken for bringing that great road effort back home, playing a great game in front of all the fans there at Climate Pledge Arena, RJ. That was really big for me because that was one of the questions I had these last 2 days as I've just been stuck there laying in bed, overthinking everything in my life because that's all I can do when I'm just laying there in bed. And one of the things was, oh gosh, I hope the Kraken can really bring that level of effort here at home. And they did.
Yeah, they did. It was great to see, great to be here for, and you need to go lie down so that you can be back here for future games as soon as possible.
Definitely. Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks to Kitty B Kraken also for the huge super chat. I'll give you a chance to kind of say thanks, RJ.
Yeah, big thank you to Kitty B Kraken. I saw that super chat as I was waiting for Chandler Stevenson in the room, and I was like, whoa. So thank you for that big one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure Stevie was wondering what the heck was going on, but that was great to see. So thank you so much, Kitty B Kraken. Really, really appreciate it. That is super generous.
Yep. All right, everybody. We will see you all next time.